Hello and welcome to the SWS Natu series, right? Here on Study with Sudhir, your own digital classroom where we are building up to the start of the board examinations for ICSE Class 10 students on the 27th of February. Now, I do believe that, and from your comments, I can make out that you are liking and appreciating the kind of content, preparation and testing content and explanation content that we are putting here on SWS. So, kar do, subscribe so that you don't miss out on an important video. There is really no point getting a video after your exams are over, है ना? So, subscribe करो, notification के लिए वो bell icon भी दबा दो. Okay. Now, let's get started with today's video, which I believe is the most definitive video as far as the preparation for the English language paper is concerned. I had done a video using the specimen paper as a format, as one student rather acerbically wrote, ये तो specimen paper solve किया है. भाई मैंने specimen paper solve नहीं किया था. Through that, I was trying to tell you what needs to be done and what should not be done. Okay. Specimen paper तो हम पहले सब discuss कर चुके हैं. Okay. So today's strategy document is to demolish some myths about the language paper, right? And I have actually written 26 different points, which is why I'm calling it the ABCD of the English language examination. अब ये ABCD क्या है? Because from your comments, I could make out that there is a lot of confusion about the format. I want to tell you that don't be obsessed too much about the format. English language may format, yes, does carry this 1, 2, half mark, idhar udhar kind of thing, especially notice and email. But when it comes to things like essays, when it comes to things like letter writing, it essentially is your content, the quality of your content, कि कितना मीठ है आपके argument में. अगर आप कहानी लिख रहे हैं, नैरेटिव ऐसे लिख रहे हैं, या डिस्क्रिप्टिव ऐसे लिख रहे हैं, या ओरिजिनल स्टोरी लिख रहे हैं, या पिक्चर कॉम्पोजिशन लिख रहे हैं, तो आपका कंटेंट कितना एंगेजिंग है, कितना इंटरेस्टिंग है. मोरओवर, योर एक्सप्रेशन, आर यू यूजिंग द सेम वर्ड्स अगेन एंड अगेन, और आर यू एबल टू give me a sense of the place you are describing? Are you able to give me a sense of what really happened, the incident that occurred on a Monday afternoon? Are you having energy in your writing? That is what is the expression part. So the most important components are the content and the expression. Iske marks milte hain. Format is just, idhar udhar ka thing. And of course, what matters is that you don't make spelling mistakes, you don't make punctuation errors, and definitely not any grammatical mistakes. ये तीन करोगे तो marks कटेंगे. If you have written good content but made lots of mistakes in grammar, tense, इधर past tense, present tense, फिर future tense, इधर present continuous, पूरा भरतनाट्यम कर दिया तो marks कटेंगे. Stay stable. एक tense को choose किया, so ensure that you're telling a particular incident, relating about it in a particular tense only. Don't keep jumping tenses. Okay, so don't be a jumping jack out here. Okay, so this is it. So let's get started with the 26 points about each one of the components of the English language paper. The first one is that no subject or signature is required in a formal letter. Please take it in writing. You do not need to sign it, nor do you need to write the subject. Whatever books write subject, they are wrong according to the ICSE specimen letter. You do not need to write the subject. Subject is required in the email, not in the formal letter. Okay? PIN code is needed. Okay? And my suggestion to you is that if you are writing a letter, let's say to the municipal commissioner, and the PIN code of your residential area, okay, or the school, as the case may be depending on the question, is, let's say, in the case of Delhi, for example, your residence thing is 110035, right? This used to be my PIN code when I used to live in Delhi, 110035. Municipal commissioner ka, not that it really makes a difference, but I would suggest that you make it a little different. You make it 110040, right? So that, the municipal commissioner's office is not in your immediate neighborhood, right? So just give it a different PIN code. The correctness of the pin code is not going to be evaluated. The examiner is not going to check ये अरे इसने रोहिणी लिखा है लेकिन इसका पिन कोड तो 110042 होना चाहिए, इसने 40 लिखा है, काटो मार्क। नहीं होगा, ऐसे मार्क्स नहीं कटते हैं। द आइडिया इज दैट द लेटर शुड रीड रियलिस्टिक, इट मे और मे नॉट बी रियलिस्टिक। ओके, योर्स फेथफुली जब आप लिखो तो यहां पर एपोस्ट्रोफी नहीं होगा, होगा तो आपको आपके मार्क्स कटेंगे। टेक इट फ्रॉम मी, मार्क्स विल बी डिडक्टेड। डियर सर, रेस्पेक्टेड सर लिखोगे तो अंडा मिलेगा, उसके मार्क्स नहीं मिलेंगे, मार्क्स कटेंगे। सो प्लीज रिमेंबर, डियर सर डज नॉट is the way you need to address in a formal letter when you are writing to an official. Respected sir nahi likhna hai. Okay, please remember this. Spelling of February, I'm getting down to the basics because February में there are many people who will eat the U. February लिख के आएंगे, मार्क्स कटेंगे। तो since आपका एग्जाम 27 तारीख को है, 27th को है, so please ensure that you don't make this kind of a fundamental error. E, formal letter needs full name. आपका जो भी है, आलोक रस्तोगी, right? आलोक रस्तोगी, नीलिमा श्रीवास्तवा, right? So you need to write the entire name, not just the first name. But in an informal letter, you will write only your first name. Deepti, Deepak, right? When you are writing to your brother, to your uncle, you don't need to write your full name. These are small mistakes. अरे confuse होके मैंने पूरा नाम लिख दिया. Please don't make such mistakes when you're talking of an informal letter. There is no word limit in letters, but write 4 paragraphs. I said that in the previous video also. Intro, in which you introduce the subject, कि किस बारे में लिख रहे हैं, किस issue के बारे में लिख रहे हैं, 2 problems, 2 suggestions and a closing line. In case of say जो एक बार आया था, I think 1 या 2 साल पहले, I don't know with 2020 or 22 में, that you want to say that you are worthy of being selected as the head boy or the head girl of the school. So what do you write? Now यहाँ पे 2 problems, 2 suggestion नहीं है. So first, in the second paragraph, you will write first में you will write that you are applying for the thing, that you are interested for in the post. Second में you will write about what have been your achievements so far. On what basis are you saying that you are worthy of this kind of a post? उससे next paragraph में you will write 2 more points on what will you do if you are selected for this particular post. So think logically कि okay, मैं किसी को बोल रहा हूं कि मेरे को ये position चाहिए, तो किस basis पे, on what basis will the principal select me for that particular post? Think logically, okay, and don't get confused, okay? So there is no word limit, but you need to keep it crisp. Formal letter is not something कि आप लंबा चौड़ा लिख सकते हैं. You cannot write one longish kind of a piece. You need to keep it crisp, okay? The official who you are writing to or the principal may not have all the time in the world to be reading a 3-page letter, right? So there is no word limit. Please don't be obsessed with number of pages. Think in terms of number of points, right? Use elimination method when it comes to MCQs. That's the safest way. Even if you think that option A is the correct one, please make sure you go through option B, option C, and option D just to be doubly sure that option A is indeed the right option. So please use the elimination method. You should use logically कि why am I rejecting option D? Why am I rejecting option C? Why am I rejecting option B? And then choose option A. So please use the elimination method. Don't be overconfident, because if there is a googly and you overlook it, you will only lose 1 mark at the end of the day. Many students have been asking this: should we write only 2A or should we write the entire sentence? The council paper, at least going by the specimen paper, there is no clarity on whether they expect, they just choose the right option, right? So they don't say whether you need to write it. So to be on the safer side, I think 2A and just write the entire thing and ensure while you are writing it, you are writing the correct words. Usme koi word galti mat kar dena, spelling mistake mat kar dena, right? So write the full sentence in the join the sentences without using and, but, or, so. And the transformation के 8 marks वाले question में, not just the option number, just to be on the safer side. That's what I say. In preposition vagara, you just need to write the preposition. You don't need to write the full sentence. The same goes for the tenses, right? But as far as synthesis and transformation is concerned, do this. In transformation, the meaning of the sentence is very important because you're not supposed to change the meaning of the sentence. So please, when you read it, either in the 15 minutes or during the 2 hours of the examination, ensure that you have understood what is the sentence trying to convey. What is the sentence trying to convey? As soon as the teacher entered the class, the students became quiet. Here the sense is of a past tense कि जब टीचर क्लास के अंदर आया या आई, बच्चे चुप हो गए. You're talking about a particular incident on a particular day, right? As soon as the teacher enters the class, the students become quiet. So this is talking about something which happens almost on a daily basis. कि हमेशा का ये है कि जैसी टीचर अंदर आती है, बच्चे चुप हो जाते हैं. So there is a difference. So you need to understand कौन से टेंस की बात हो रही है, what is the meaning that is being conveyed in the sentence. So accordingly you will need to choose the correct option. Okay, that's very important. As far as tenses is concerned, go by the first word which is given, zero वाला. देखो वो प्रेजेंट टेंस में है, पास्ट टेंस में है, फ्यूचर टेंस में है. अगर प्रेजेंट पास्ट फ्यूचर का भी कौन सा सब टेंस है, you need to understand and then try to follow the same thing and see whether at any stage in between the entire thing is being spoken about in the past tense, but at some line in between we'll be speaking about, oh, he will have to do this, you know. So there is a sense of something which is going to take place in the future. So be very conscious about what is the kind of meaning that that particular passage is trying to convey. This is something very important when you are doing the tenses. Okay, that's another point. So अगर ये इस बात का ध्यान रखो, if you take care of this aspect, you will not go wrong as far as the tenses are concerned. Finally, in case of prepositions and phrasal verbs, we have done some 200 of them on YouTube as part of the Natu Natu series. Please understand what is being conveyed in the sentence. The same logic of the transformation. Prepositions may, there are many times you will think, even if you think that, yeah, isme up bilkul correct baithega, but keep thinking for at least another 10 seconds and try to fit in. Up nahi hai, will down hoga, no, under hoga, no, beyond hoga, no, beside hoga, no. You keep eliminating other possible options. Don't be fixed ki ye socha hai to yahi hoga aur kuch nahi hoga, right? So be very clear on that. You keep eliminating other possibilities also before you write your answer. Okay, let's now come to the summary comprehension. The rough grid has to be made. It can be made with pencil, and then you make a fair grid on the main page itself, not at the on the last page, and draw the boxes with pencils and cut it out and mark it as rough. You know, finally when it happens, cut it out and say it was rough work, you know, so that, see, there is no thing that, you know, you get marks for the Prezi writing, for the rough draft of the Prezi, but the council wants to see that you have actually done a rough draft and then done the fair draft. And in the rough draft, it's quite possible that you wrote 56 words and then you kind of bring it closer, bring it, shorten it and bring it to 50 words, right? So that can happen. So that is something, that's an exercise you need to do. So the rough grid and the fair grid. Comprehension mein, the word meanings, about which we did an exercise also yesterday. If you don't understand a particular word, please relate it to the passage. Ki passage mein what is the meaning in which that particular word has been used, in what context, because there are always words which take different meanings in different kind of context. So passage mein kis tarah ke meaning mein usko use kiya gaya hai, usko samjhiye and accordingly decide. Even if you are not, even if you think that two options are very close to each other, think logically. If you don't get it, leave it. Maybe it will strike you after 5-10 minutes and you can always come back to it. That's another way of doing it. Of course, don't forget it completely. Okay. In email, let's come to the notice email. In email, if question says you are so and so, then use that as the head boy / head girl of the school, as the sports captain, vice captain of the school, write that, right? So you can use that designation if it is provided in the question. That's a safer thing. If it is not provided and if you think in the context of the question this is important, you could do so, but definitely do so if it is mentioned in the school. उस टाइम पे ये मत कह के आना अरे मैं भूल गया मैंने अपना नाम लिख दिया, marks कटेंगे. Okay, if you have been given a particular name and designation, you need to use that. Box for notice and email is not compulsory, it's optional. You do not need to box it, but if you box it also, no marks are going to be deducted. So don't kind of fret so much. इतना चिंता करने का जरूरत नहीं है कि अरे box बनाया नहीं. That's not the most important thing in your examination paper, right? There are other things to be worried about. So इस पे इतना worry करने का जरूरत नहीं है. बनाना है बनाओ, नहीं बनाना है कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Okay. The email ID of the principal, in the case of the email, many students get it wrong. Don't write fancy ones, don't write things like, shadyschoolprincipal@gmail.com. The examiner will not be amused. So write something which has the name school in it and keep it long. Don't write a long winded St. Joseph Senior High School Principal@gmail.com. अरे इतना लंबा email ID किसका होता है, right? So write a small of maximum principal, school being the two operative words, and one name, one word to kind of convey the school name. Bright School Principal or Principal Bright School@gmail.com. That itself is quite long, but that's enough. You don't need to write the full name of your school. That's not necessary, or of your neighboring school, right? In the notice, the event date ideally should be 10 to 12 days from the date of the exam. So, agar 27th February is your examination, your ideal date of the event should be around the 10th or the 12th of March, around that much. That should be enough. And the last date for entries, last date for entries for the chess championship should be 2 days before the thing. So it could be 8th of March, right? Could be the 8th of March, could be the last date for submitting entries for that particular event. Okay, so just keep these kind of things in mind. Suppose you get a notice, let's say for Women's Day celebration. Okay, Women's Day कब है? 8th March को है. In that case, you make the event on 8th of March. And last day for submission, you can keep it as 6th of March, right? So you can do that. So think of it like, because I took the example of Women's Day because that's something which everyone knows about, right? So you can do that. In that case, don't change the date and say, अरे सर ने 10th का था तो मैं 10th ही लिखूंगा. When Women's Day is on 8th, keep it on 8th. Okay, I hope you understand. If you are inviting a personality, the tone has to be formal and warm, right? ये नहीं कि हम इवेंट कर रहे हैं, आ जाना, right? 10 बजे को है तो 10 बजे से 11 बजे तक आ जाना. The tone cannot be like that. The tone has to be formal. The tone has to be warm, that you're inviting a person. You could even say that, our sports in charge will be in touch with you regarding the logistics of travel, because you need to offer that, if you need, we will send a car across for you to come from your home to the school and to go back, right? You need to basically extend those kind of basic courtesies, right? So that's something which you need to do. S, the word limit. Now finally we come to the essays. The word limit is extremely important as far as the essays are concerned. There are some comments I saw from some of your seniors. अरे कोई examiner words को थोड़ी count करता है. Of course he will or she will not count, but they will just see the first line. They will just have an idea about how many lines. And if they think that you have gone on to something like 400 words, there will be penalty unless you have written brilliantly and they think that, okay, we can look, we can kind of ignore that. But generally, if you go beyond the word limit by too many words, 350 ka 360 ho sakta hai, maybe 365 also, maybe even a 370 they may ignore. But beyond too many words, if you exceed the word limit, there will be thing. But the more dangerous part is that if you fall short of the number of words, if you write 250 words and come back, sorry to say, the examiner is not going to be amused. You will lose marks. So you need to touch that 300 mark for sure. You need to ideally keep it between the 300 and 300 to 350 is a good range. It's not like a 300 to 310 ka short range diya hai. 50 words ka range diya hai, which is, according to me, pretty decent. Write essays and letters as 15-year-old students. Okay. Do not try to imagine yourself as an adult when you are writing the essay or the letter. Okay. Essay ka, yes. If it is talking about an incident which happened, yes, you can talk about an incident which happened when you were 13 years old. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Don't say that मैंने 15 साल ही बोला था. उस केस में you can make it this thing, but don't imagine yourself to be a 35-year-old and write an essay, right? That is something which you need to bear in mind. So all your essays and whatever situations you create need to keep that in mind. Argumentative essays cannot take both stands. They cannot take फॉर एंड अगेंस्ट. आपको फॉर रहना है तो आप फॉर के लिए 4 पॉइंट्स या 5 पॉइंट बताइए. अगर आप अगेंस्ट ले रहे हैं तो उसके लिए पॉइंट्स बताइए. आप फॉर के लिए 3 पॉइंट, अगेंस्ट के लिए 2 पॉइंट लिखेंगे तो मार्क्स कटेंगे. सो प्लीज बी वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट विच स्टैंड यू आर टेकिंग एंड स्टिक टू दैट स्टैंड. डोंट सिट ऑन द फेंस कि ये भी ठीक है, ये भी ठीक है. नो, दैट्स नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल. In essay, do not jump tenses, especially narrative, and this is something which I find quite often being done. That don't jump tenses. You know, if you are talking about something which has happened in the past, stay in the past. Talk about what happened on that afternoon in the month of January and talk about it. और यहाँ पे मेरी एक विनती है. See, a lot many of you who are not part of our Ashwin course are sending me their essays and letters and notice email and grammar questions on Instagram, on email, on the SWS app thing and YouTube comments. I actually am trying my best. See, मेरे दिन में भी ना, I don't know whether you know it or not, 24 ही घंटे हैं. So there is a limit to which I can do because I have a huge load of my own students to correct copies. उसके बावजूद when a student asks me for help, my basic nature is that I will always try to help to the maximum extent possible. To the maximum. Yesterday I had gone to listen to a talk by Ramachandra Guha, historian, right? He was talking, but I was actually replying to many of the doubts by many of the non-SWS students on YouTube who were asking questions on YouTube. Some of them had contacted me on Instagram, on email, etc. So when I try my best, but there will always, if there are 500 people sending me things, it's quite possible that I may reply to 200, 250, 300, but there will always be 200. तो वो जो बाकी 200 हैं भाई मेरे, and you know exactly who I'm referring to, मैंने तुम लोगों के तो, मैंने कुछ लोगों के तो 2 रिप्लाई किए हैं, तीसरा क्वेश्चन का रिप्लाई नहीं करते तो सीधा जाके ऐप पे जाके 1 स्टार रेटिंग देके रेटिंग कम करते हो. इतना गुस्सा क्यों भाई? Why do you have to get so angry? See, it's not possible for anybody, and I can tell you that the kind of commitment I show, and I know it for a fact that many people do not show that kind of commitment. I don't need to, but I do because I genuinely love children and I want them to do well. It does not matter whether you are studying from me on the app or not studying from me, but there is a limit to which I can help people. No? You know, I have checked essays from students who have sent it to me, but I can't check every essay because it takes a lot of time and effort. I don't have that kind of luxury of time 2 days, 3 days before the final examination. You understand? Because I do take live sessions for my own students, right? So please understand that. Don't do this, you know, कि इसको हम hurt करेंगे. You know, life में ना, and I can tell you this, there is something called karma. You know, what you do finally comes to you. So there will be somebody else who will do the same to you, and that time you will feel कि मेरी तो गलती नहीं थी, फिर भी इसने ऐसा किया करके. So don't do that. Let's be positive. I try to help to the maximum extent possible. It would be possible in some cases. It may not be possible in some cases. Sometimes students send me a thing. I genuinely don't understand what they are asking. In which case, you know, it's very difficult for me to kind of keep engaging. क्या पूछा बताओ, मैं बताता हूँ. टाइम हो तो मैं जरूर करूंगा. But 2 days before ये 2 महीने पहले पूछा था तो मैं करता भी. ये 2 दिन पहले पूछना, you know, it becomes a little difficult. So my request to you is that please appreciate that. Don't try to hurt anyone when someone is trying to do an honest job of helping all you students. Okay, that's my limited point. So I mean, I don't understand, you know, कि इसको कम करो तो उसमें तुमको इतना खुशी क्यों मिलेगा? Frankly speaking, I mean, beyond a point, you know, I have also come to a stage, you know, कि बोलना है करो, because there are a lot of others also do that. But the thing is that I wouldn't want a 15-year-old to have so much of negativity in his or her mind. Title is not compulsory, but if you give the title for an essay, you won't lose marks. Okay. Another thing, यहाँ पे ये won't करके कभी मत लिखना. Will not, no apostrophe, especially in essays. Shall not, is not, can not. ये can't, wouldn't, won't, isn't. essay में तो और लेटर में नहीं लिखना. ओके, तो ये नहीं लिखना. So if you are writing a title, you're not going to lose marks. But if you don't write it also, but in original story, you should always write a title. But if you can think of an intelligent title immediately, a smart title, write off, no problem. But it's not compulsory. Okay. State your position. Argumentative may state your position right in the first paragraph and preferably using the same words that have been used in the question. Say that I believe that CCTV should be there in every classroom in the school. I believe that school bags should be made lighter for school going children, right? So you say it very clearly. I do not agree with the I do not agree with the point that CCTV should be made compulsory, should be installed in every classroom. So say it very clearly in the first paragraph itself. I hope I'm saying it loud and clear. You need to state your position. Examiner तीसरे paragraph था, उसको मालूम ही नहीं है कि इसका position क्या है. It can get very confusing. And in the last paragraph, when you are concluding, again reiterate that, but not using the same word, just in a different kind of language. Say this, your reiterating position कि देखो भाई, ये 5 paragraph या 6 paragraph में मैंने ये position लिया है. Reiterate that. This is something important. Last 2 points. What topics will come? Technology, please prepare. Argumentative की बात कर रहा हूं. Education, health, environment, and general civic and social issues. These are the kind of topics on which argumentative essays are generally asked. Picture composition की बात करें, generally around children is what is usually been asked in the past, and I would think that the trend may well continue, right? Things about education, child labor, and stuff like that, right? So technology, education, that's my sense. Health, environment, and general civic and social issues. These are things on which you should be preparing, and that they would be useful both for your argumentative as well as your formal letter. The other important thing that you need to bear in mind, is that try to write things on the positive aspects of life, on friendship, on gratitude, on empathy, on support for others, things which I keep saying on SWS. Be positive. That always helps. Create a positive environment. So if your story is having a narrative story or a descriptive story is creating a feel good kind of feeling, it will always be appreciated more. Okay, so that is something which you should keep in mind. In narrative, what you should do is that you should prepare both specific and generic topics. What do I mean by that? Specific is that you were going on a hot afternoon and your cycle got punctured. Narrate what happened. How did you kind of manage to reach the tuition center or your school on time or home on time, wherever you are going on time? How did you kind of manage the situation, right? Or you met with an accident while you were cycling on your way back home. How did you kind of deal with the situation? Now, these are specific topics. जहां पर topic आपको दिया जाता है. There can also be generic kind of topics जहां पर आपको ये नहीं बताया जाता कि इस घटना के बारे में बताओ. Where they don't tell you that you describe or narrate about this particular incident. They may say that narrate a particular incident which taught you a lesson or which was an extremely embarrassing moment. So have those kind of slots instead of trying to think in the examination hall. If you're able to say that, okay, मेरे को humorous के लिए ये incident मैं कर सकता हूँ, embarrassing के लिए this can be an option, shocking के लिए this can be an incident. So if you are able to think of it in advance, you will actually save on time in thinking during the examination. Okay, so that's as far as the narrative is concerned. Last point. हाँ, ये मत करना. ये काफी बच्चे करते हैं. I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that, and I'm quoting what one of my students did. Right? So suppose you are writing a letter, right? आपने D लिखा. Okay, जल्दी में लिख रहे हैं. अरे जल्दी में, टाइम खत्म हो रहा है, जल्दी लिखते हैं. ओह, ये H कट गया. This is a very untidy way of doing it, And if you do it like this, you'll wonder this thing. So always the best way to do it is to strike it out and write dear properly again. That's the best way instead of making it untidy. So that is something which you need to keep in mind, that how you cut out things. See, handwriting will be taken into account. That's what the notice says, right? अगर आपने वो टाइम टेबल वाला नोटिस आईसीएसई काउंसिल का देखा है तो उसमें लिखा हैंडराइटिंग विल बी टेकन इनटू अकाउंट. नाउ इट डजंट मीन दैट यू विल बी गेटिंग एक्स्ट्रा मार्क्स फॉर हैंडराइटिंग, बट in neat handwriting always, see, remember this, the examiner knows you by the answer script. So how good your answer script looks, the look of it, andar dekha jata. It's like, you know, your guests come home, you spread out whatever lunch is going to be served, right? Before the lunch is tasted. Now lunch taste kaisa hai, that's different. Whether it tastes fabulous or not so great, that's different. That the guest will know only after tasting the food, right? But before that, if the entire arrangement has been done very nicely in an aesthetic manner, in nice crockery, etc., with nice, kind of decoration, the first impression of the examiner or the guest for the food will be very good. That first impression is created by your handwriting. So please pay attention to how you present your paper. Also, many people have that habit of पहले तो handwriting अच्छी होती है, by the end of the examination वो राजधानी एक्सप्रेस की तरह नहीं, वंदे भारत एक्सप्रेस की तरह चलने लगती है. So please be careful about that your handwriting, especially if you're writing the essay at the end, which is the bulky 20 marks, should not be messy at the end. So please pace yourself well. The time management becomes important so that your handwriting is uniformly good through the examination. That's important. I hope this ABCD of the English language paper se aapko fayda hua. I thought of including all the possible details and provide clarity on what needs to be done. Okay, तो कोई पॉइंट छूट गया हो, तो कोई भूल चूक हो गई तो माफ कर देना. अब सीधा जाके उसको 1 स्टार मत देना वहां पे. Okay, and generally try to be nice to everyone. The world does not become a better place by abuse. Okay, thank you very much. All the best to you. God bless you.